Hi there, welcome to the Scolio Temple and Standing Up to Scoliosis. And this video today is just like a quick general talk about awareness and proprioception of your scoliosis curve. And obviously awareness is the first step towards being able to help yourself and move on from there and regrow. Because if you can reconnect first, then your body must have healed enough and like recuperated enough that it's like ready to maybe let go and start regrowing and regenerating from there. So let's first talk about why we develop motor sensory amnesia. Why is it that we're not aware of our backs when they grow curves? Because I wasn't aware for years, but in the end I did see. I actually saw it in my curve in a mirror, so I wasn't even feeling at that point that there was any pulling or curving or anything going on. So it's quite bizarre, really, that we can have complete amnesia. And where does this amnesia come from? Well, it's the nervous system's way of protecting ourselves. So it's the nervous system is shutting down when we're having infection, toxins in the body, trauma, accident, any kind of injury. You know, the nervous system needs to protect itself and close off for healing to happen. So, you know, if I was banged my head here when I was a child, probably happened lots of times. You know, there's going to be a contraction. What they found is the soft tissue has an unconscious contraction from a myofibroblast. So it's not like a muscle contraction. It's something that we can control with our brain, and it's the muscles contracting and, you know, contracting long, lengthening, contracting, shortening, contracting, staying the same. That usually we have an awareness of that. We have a lot of sensory receptors in our muscles. This is like our main control system. But underneath that, there's the unconscious, which most of our body is operating on, you know, which is all linked with our fluid, our breath, our heartbeat, our, you know, what we eat and what's nourishing our body. And yeah, so if we have an injury, it happens in this meridian line, you know, soft tissue matrix that's all being studied, the myofascia, the web connecting everything together. This is going to contract and shorten in the brain while there is healing going on. And healing can take from 3 to 6 weeks, maybe even longer if it's like a car crash, like a really bad injury. And the longer the healing takes, the more scar tissue, the more like adhesions and scarring that's going to form there. So initially, if it's like not a very bad injury, like it only takes a few weeks to heal, and you just have a minor bang on the head, you get a bit of a bruise, the thing contracts, you like have a headache for a while, you lie down, you rest, you hydrate to get the fluid or the swelling will go there and it will heal. You nourish yourself well, you just like rest, you don't overdo it. What's going to happen when the soft tissue shortens in this part of the body? This shoulder is going to shorten because it's a web that's all connected together. That's going to shorten. That's going to shorten. We can already see I am describing a trauma that has partly caused my scoliosis. It's like the beginning. It might have not been a bang on the head as a child. You know, like there's even a study. I went to see the specialist holistic dentist the other day because of the infections in my rods. So basically, I think maybe you've already grasped, like I am a qualified therapist. I was working with people. I've worked in hospitals. But because I got so ill from my metal rods and the infection and all the stiffness and illness they've caused me, which the doctors have now wronged me to say they're thinking, like they're listening to me, taking me seriously and asking if I want them taken out. But yeah, I'm not working at the moment, so every video you see that I post is just about my general experience and things that I've learned, and it's all just, you know, I'm not trying to sell you anything, even though I'm a qualified therapist. It's all just my general experience at the moment. I'd love to work in the future if I can get better, have these rods out. I would love to work with people, because obviously that's what I've studied and trained to do for most of my life. But yeah, at the moment, literally just my experience, my studies, just sharing with you, because I just want to spread the word. I just want people to have awareness of the new research that's going on, and awareness that they can help themselves, and that there are explanations to why they're ill, and maybe resolutions. And you know, I want people to be realistic and be aware that these resolutions things, you know, they're going to take a lot of time, and be realistic. You know, got a very down to earth approach. So obviously, yeah, I'm not in the business of trying to talk about miracle healings, but I do believe in meditation and self-awareness and mindfulness, and yeah, increasing your proprioception of your body and your spirit. I have gone into a slightly spiritual path with it, like explored my ancestry and my spiritual heritage, but I certainly don't, you know, I believe in hands-on. You know, I believe, you know, the research is showing you place your hands on someone, you know, that can do a lot of healing. So I'm very science-based, but I certainly believe in a spiritual dimension. But yeah, no miracles, very down to earth, because it's all based on my experience and what's actually happened. So yeah, going back to motor sensory amnesia. So we've had this trauma. During the phase where we were healing, it's contracted. If it heals quickly, like within 3 weeks, all good. The cells regenerate. The body can sort of restore to almost normal again. The adhesions, the myofibroblasts will relax because the tissue has regenerated and healed, and it's kind of back to normal basically, because it wasn't a bad injury. But if we have either a repeated toxin in the system that doesn't go away, that is going to stay. It's never going to let go. Could get worse and worse, and the curve, the imbalance in the body is going to get worse and worse. Or if it's a really bad injury that's taking like longer to heal, you're going to have a tighter scar, an adhesion, and that adhesion, that scar, is going to cause even more like distortion in the body, imbalance. So like now I'm demonstrating my surgical scar. So it's like gripped me here, and it's like held me in this position. And now there are, years down the line, because obviously science is, you know, there's studies, science is showing the body's like cells are dying and regenerating every 7 years, like the whole body cells. So there are things. This is why you're not going to get quickly with scoliosis, because it's going to take years. But even then, you know, if you're going to get results, you have to take the right treatments, the right supplements, because, you know, with scar tissue, when stuff is really stuck, science at the moment is showing there's not really, you know, the medical establishment, that the proper science establishment is saying they're looking into stem cells to regenerate scarring, because they're saying this is like dead tissue now, like it's not got the nervous system innervation, it's just not in the flow, it's not living, it's not connected. But, you know, like people like yogis and alternative therapists, they know like homeopathic supplements and remedies, the way you can dissolve scar tissue or eat it away, and plants that can help regenerate. So I think that, I mean, you've got to remember that the established medical system is doing trials, again, that are just short term. Like, you can't, if you take a herbal remedy to dissolve scar tissue, you know, it might take a long 6 months up to a year. Like for my big surgical scar, right, if you did a study and you just saw me taking it every day for a month. So that was your little trial, which they do quite short-term trials, like mostly from what I've read. Maybe like in the therapy field, they're going like a bit longer, like up to 6 months. And I don't know, maybe some are even doing follow-ups of a year but ultimately, this is in the core of my being. This is a massive scar. Like, you know, that could take more than 1 year, years. It could take, you know, this could take over 10 years to dissolve away. So I think that I think you've got to, if you're trying to look into alternative things, I think you've just got to really look at what the scientific studies are showing in the medical field and what doctors are following, and just go, hang on a sec, is this realistic? Is this practical? Is this, you know, is this going to happen? So, but also if you're looking to alternative things, don't think outside the box too much. Don't be too unrealistic about the results you're going to get. So I might take a supplement to dissolve my scar tissue, you know, from the surgery, but I might still have issues. So it might it might dissolve away some of the worst bits, might free things up a bit, but ultimately that scar is there for life, really. It's, you know, I have been altered. My body's been altered, the damage has happened. It's not as it was in its original creation and flow. And so I think there are things you can do, and obviously there are studies for herbal and all these homeopathic, you know, of course there are studies and they're showing they're doing something, and that's great. Again, I just don't know why there aren't holistic studies, because again, if you're just taking a supplement to dissolve scar tissue, but you're not doing the correct exercises, you're not eating the right proteins, you're not taking the right fluids, and like you're not getting enough of all the sodium, all the different minerals and salts in your system that your tissues need to heal and regenerate, then you're not going to get as good results. So anyway, like, I could waffle on for ages, but back to the core, sensing your curve. So we have a series of motor sensory amnesia and trauma in the soft tissue that are building. So there's one on the head that's caused the ribs have hitched, the shoulders started to hitch. Like, maybe say that was my first trauma that happened when I was born in my birth process. Okay, so we've got one. Then say I fell onto the back of my head here when I was a baby. Then we've got another one gripping. That's going to coat the shoulder blade up even more. But remember, as a baby, these are just in our soft tissue. We don't have our muscles and our bones developed yet. So this is happening in the soft tissue, and a adhesion and scar is formed, and we heal, we recover partly, and it's like, oh, it's like it didn't happen. But underneath that, like, especially things in the brain with the nervous system, we're having a lot of chemicals and toxins in all our foods. You know, like there was a study the dentist showed that, you know, mothers having mercury past, you know, people can have loads of mercury fillings that can go to the baby, and that can lead to scoliosis. So detoxing heavy metals like mercury, you know, and I take, you know, there's studies showing NAC, which is high in sulfur, like eggs used to clear mercury. So if NAC is helping scoliosis in zebrafish, you know, these type of things that are detoxing these heavy metals, like if these sort of things are helping with scoliosis, like, science really has got to look into the neurotoxins and the things that can affect, you know, the nervous system. And so a lot of therapists are focusing on the injuries and the soft tissue things, and that's great, but that's only going to take you so far. Because if you've got neurotoxins in there, you're having constant repeated trauma over and over that is never going away. So like, there's constantly going into the blood, constantly, like this heavy toxin, this metal, whatever it is. You know, you like breathing cyanide in car fumes. Like, there's lots of horrible things that can shorten the breath, that can deaden the brain. So the different levels of motor sensory amnesia. You know, we got an injury, like where there's inflammation, your body's going to like disassociate while it's healing because it doesn't want to connect to this gunk that's going on, this damage, you know, and while it's healing there's swelling, And, you know, so there's like the first level where it's like a volcano, then you're like in the ocean treading water, you know. And if you're in the ocean treading water repeatedly because of repeated trauma and toxins in the body, you're never going to get the feedback. You're never going to come onto the rock. You're never going to get the feedback. You know, the magnetic, so we have sensory receptors for electromagnetic field in the body, for fluid pressure and balance, for not just to measure where our muscles are, whether they're lengthened or whether there's tension. So the position of the bones, everyone thinks is just all about muscles, like the Golgi tendon organs, the stretch receptors. You know, a lot of people initially, you know, that's why I do physio training. I first went to this is, you know, it's just bad posture, it's just out. But it's about fluid balance, it's about the whole thing, it's about internal chemistry at, you know, at the deepest level. It's about breath balance. My first breath when I was born, when I took my first breath, was there trauma at my birth? Was there repression on the lungs? So I gasped for breath, but I was pulling away from the inflammation and toxins and damage that caused the gasp. Like, because we have this reflex where we pull away from the fire, pull away from, you know. And in scoliosis, you know, I'm pulling away constantly from something that's happening inside me. So at the end of the day, you've got a complex chain of connective tissues, of connective traumas and things. And some things, you know, they're chronically there in the nervous system. And other things, it's a specific damage and injury that's crushed something. And you need to, like, nourish that back to health slowly over the years. And you're never going to be back to fully what you were originally. You know, anytime you have a serious trauma injury, it kind of alters you for life, but doesn't mean that you can't still have a life. It doesn't mean you have to let this cripple you and disable you, what's happened. So I think, yeah, so I had this amazing craniosacral session the other day where I've gone through so many exercise modalities. I've done my professional dancing, like trained in loads of different styles. I used to compete in gymnastics. Then I done my physio degree, my sports massage, and I done the Tai Chi, Pilates and yoga. I practiced for years. I've got CBD in. But I got to a point where I was like, this isn't going deep enough. This isn't. So then I got into meditation and energy medicine, and I thought, oh, yeah, there's a constant, like the Kundalini, this flow, this constant field of gravity and uplift. You know, you hear this, like, you go back to ancient mythology where you're hearing, like in the Bible, you know, this term walking on water. We don't want to be treading water because we're having constant swelling and inflammation pulling us down. You talk about the lightness of spirit, the up, you know, everything. So yeah, I got into my sort of spiritual journey, and studying my fascia and the fibroblasts and how our psychology, our emotions are linked with it, our internal chemistry, the acid alkaline balance, you know, there's so much more to health, you know, and our organ system. So now I've been studying somatics and the craniosacral wave and current through the fluid system and the organs, and how this sort of flow much deeper into the body. So the organs supporting the breath, the flow of the heartbeat, into the brain and the chemistry of the nervous system. So this is where I've got started from the outside and worked my way into my core, and I have awareness now, you know, that my breech birth, the way I can feel the curve, whereas I couldn't before I was like out here, neurologic, you know, proprioceptively, just out here, stuck, like I could only sense, you know, didn't even realise it happened. This was contorted, you know. And I've brought myself down, calm my nervous system in. I've lengthened things out. I've dealt with some traumas that I've had. You know, I've gone through these layers, and I've come to a place of acceptance and awareness, and that's taken me 8 years. Well, I mean, 8 years of solid work, but I had to explore and find the right things for me. So if I had more guidance and help, it might have got here quicker. But yeah, because there's not really any systems like in the West, you know, like if you was like in a yogi in India and you went to join a commune, you know, like I had a yogi try to help me with my scoliosis, and she told me that she's seen people's scoliosis be corrected out, you know, there with guidance, the correct help and guidance. People can make progress faster. Still going to take a long time, like we're still talking years probably, but not like 10, 20 years, but you know, like long, stupidly length time where you just like, because in the West we just left on our own with the doctors giving us just quick fixes, pill things that is not in cycle with nature, it's not in cycle with the currents of our body. So, and we don't have a spiritual practice, and a lot of us are of mixed ancestry. We have, you know, I have Celtic and Jewish and Nordic, Viking, like Germanic or Norse origins, you know, so I'm having like a mixture, you know, and then even in meditation I've seen deeper connections going back to Greece, the Mediterranean and Rome and even Egypt. So I think that because we have such a mixed, we don't have this set practice like in India where they all follow, you know, they follow this system and it works for them, because we are left almost on our own here and we're all different. We're having to meditate and go with our intuition and say, do I like this person's teachings? Do I feel energetically I connect to them? Does my soul gravitate towards this? Does it make me feel better? Does it ring true? Is it my truth? You know, we have to trust our own instinct. Our like higher sort of energetic instinct, whether something is going to heal and lift us up, or our gut instinct, whether we're going to put something in our body and it's going to make us more sick or feel better. So there's like different types of intuition there as well. So yeah, it is a journey, and in some ways I wish I had a set spiritual practice I could follow that could like guide me like in a more set structured way to heal myself and help my scoliosis like a yogi. But the yogi system did not work for me. Parts of it did, like I like the sunset, I like some of the yoga practices, they follow the meridian lines, but in England we don't have that much sun, and they're doing sun salutations every morning, and a lot of them are up a mountain, and I live, you know, I don't live up a mountain, I don't have as much sun. The earth of England's created by, it's very connected to the ocean. Like I like some of the Celtic, I like connect to some of the Druid stuff, and so yeah, basically there are some universal practices. Science is looking for universal truth as well. This is what you've got to remember. In every scientific trial and study, there is a one size fits all. They don't categorise us from our DNA and our ancestry. They don't say, let's trial this herb on this person or this medicine on this person, which most of the medicines are coming from nature and herb in general to start with. Where are they taking that nature and who are they putting it into, you know? And is it native to you or is it native to someone else? So you can get really mixed results, and science is looking to create super drugs that work on everyone, and that's why they are usually more powerful and effective. And I think if you're looking to clear a man-made toxin out of your body, maybe a man-made drug or solution is a good idea. I mean, I take NAC, and that's a man-made pill. It's of a cysteine amino acid, but I don't get enough of that in my diet. You know, it smells super sulphury and eggy. I bathe in some salts that are very sulphury. I eat lots of eggs, but the NAC does work. It really does clear the drugs out and the shit out on a higher level than the salts and the egg, the natural things. So, you know, I'm not against drugs, I'm not against medicine. They are highly tested and they do obviously work and do their function. But they are usually, they're not like for long-term health, really, in my sort of opinion and view. Great for surgery, great for, I guess, killing infection. But yeah, long term, I think you really want to listen to your heart, get in tune with your breath and the current and the flow, tidal, the wave, the flow of your body. Get in tune with the trees, you know. I think we need to get back to basics, and then do science, and the medicine is the add-ons, it's the bonuses, it's the extras that we've created. But if we live in a society that's lost its basics first and only takes the add-ons, then there's probably trouble and health crises ahead. So yeah, namaste. I hope that this understanding, there's this balance going on of injury, contraction, trauma weighing us down, contracting in, and then there's a lengthening, and there's regeneration, and there's growth and lightness, and you know, this is like a basic black and white view, like, but there's loads of levels of grey in between, and we have loads of levels of grey and in between in the environment, what we're eating all the time, what we put. So please, yeah, I'm not religious at all. Not, maybe I do believe in the afterlife, but yeah, I have my own experiences, but that's not for me to broadcast on here. But yeah, definitely mindful meditation is going to help, and to get more proprioceptive awareness of where you are, of what's happened. But do this under guided care. Do this under, you know, see therapists, people who have experience of this, because they're going to be able to help guide you. Because when you're releasing adhesions from old traumas and injuries, you're unsticking and regenerating. You're then going to need to clear out some toxins stuck and regrow, so you can have like healing crisis where you feel worse before you feel better, where your body's detoxing and clearing stuff out, and then you need to know the right foods, things to eat. But yeah, there's a lot of info out there on the internet you can read to help yourself nowadays. So this is amazing. No one is bound and bonded necessarily by religious, because religion can be as controlling as any, you know, like you might be brought up in a certain religious practice, like go to become a yogi, but you might have part of you that doesn't connect to those teachings, and you can feel like this is God, this is the only way, like, but it's not maybe for you. So there are good things about being brought up in a more free society where you can be yourself, but there's also problems, drawbacks to being brought up with no connection to nature, no connection to spirituality and religion, no practices. Like a lot of people are in the West can be quite lost and disconnected from their body. So yeah, just namaste. This has been a really long video. I didn't expect to waffle on as long as this, but I just want people to really get the feel that there is hope, there is a chance that things can change and happen over the years, and they can find their way, find the people that are going to help them, find their guidance, listen to their heart, and get out of being stuck in the head and constant fear and trauma and things that are harming them. And yeah, so we'll see what happens from here on. Yeah, if anyone is watching my pages or videos, please message me. Like, I mean, this is such a big thing to have the rods taken out. So if anyone is in a similar situation or wants to message me or talk, even have a Zoom call, like I'm so open to talk about to talk to people in a similar situation to me at the moment. Any therapy questions about healing in general with scoliosis, like I'm not working don't message me about that, because I'll just post out information that I want, but I don't really have I'm not working as a therapist at the moment, so I'm not really answering or taking messages for that. But definitely, if people are thinking about having the rods out or have had them out and can give me advice, please, get in touch. And yeah, hope everyone is having a good day, a nice and peaceful day, and all the best to everyone with scoliosis and what you've been through. It's not an easy ride. It's not an easy journey being pulled so far from our centre. You can feel so isolated and separated and lonely at times and lost maybe with this. So know that, I just think it's nice to not, that we've got each other and we don't have to travel this journey alone, even though we're all different. We've all got a different cause and a different journey with our scoliosis. So, it's not even always easy to necessarily, just because someone else has a scoliosis, they're not necessarily gonna get on with them or connect. But yeah, it's not who we really are, is it? Our scoliosis is not our soul. It's not who we are, and it shouldn't define us. So yeah. Take care, everyone, and we'll see what happens with the doctors and the rods, and hopefully I can post more videos demonstrating things, exercises, because I haven't been doing these demonstrative exercises because I'm too sick still and tired and drained, so I don't really do a lot of exercise at the moment myself, because it spreads infection around further and makes me more ill. So this is why I haven't been demonstrating much. Okay, peace out, bye.